Okay, on page 145, you're going to need to look all the way at the bottom of the page. That's where you're going to find steps 10 and 11 that you see on the screen right now. So for step 10, I'm just going to have you guys cross that off. You're not going to need to use it. And instead, we're going to move right to step 11. You've read 2 articles so far on cell phone use while driving. And we read those the week before you left for break. We're going to be reading a 3rd article today, and step 11 is telling you what we're going to have to do. So I'm going to have you just make 2 highlighted markings here real quick. First thing that we're going to do right off the bat, while we're reading, we're going to first identify the claim. And it gives you a hint it's happening in the first paragraph. Second thing I want you to do while we read through the article, I'm going to have you underline info that's logical evidence, so it's factual, that supports that specific claim the article provides for us. Now I am going to be giving you some chunks of text to go ahead and mark for logos appeal, which would be those specific facts. The reason why I'm having you do that and why I'm providing it for you, there's a lot of scientific terminology in here that people could get lost in, and I don't want you to feel lost reading through this. All right? So go ahead, turn to page 146. Before we even begin reading the article, first thing I'm going to have you do, right below the author's names of Justin Keller in that light blue box, I want you to go ahead and write down ethos. We could state that this entire article is an ethos appeal due to the fact that the authors are credible, reliable resources. Both of these individuals are psychologists, researchers in the field, and they have been looking at this material for multiple years. They've studied the effects of cell phone use while driving, so every single piece we could say is an ethos appeal. Okay? Let's go ahead and start reading the article. I'm going to read through page 145 with you folks aloud, and then I'm going to have you read 146 on your own or with a partner. Okay? Behavioral studies have shown that talking on a cell phone diverts the driver's attention and disrupts driving performance. We investigated that question by looking at brain activity that occurs during driving. In our study, using functional magnetic resonance imaging, or fMRI, we examined the effect of listening to someone speak on the brain activity associated with simulated driving. I'm going to have you make 3 marks. First thing we're going to have you do with paragraph 1, I'm going to have you highlight that first sentence. And I wouldn't doubt a good handful of you could tell me why we're highlighting it. Studies show cell phones divert or distract a driver. What do you think that might be, Christian? Yes, the claim. So second mark, we're going to go ahead, just draw ourselves a bracket. Third mark, we're going to write down that this is the claim of the entire article. So all the evidence that's being presented, while it is ethos, it's going to help prove the point that cell phones distract the driver. All right, now that actual brain imaging chart that falls right below, that's a pretty interesting piece if you want to take a look at it to identify what exactly that is. I'm not going to read through it or explain it, but it's something you can take a look at if you'd like. We're going to move on to the second paragraph here. Participants steer the vehicle along a curving virtual road, either undisturbed or while listening to spoken sentences that they judged as true or false. The parental lobe activation associated with spatial processing and driving decreased by 37% when participants concurrently listen to the sentences. All right, that first set of sentences, I want you to go ahead and bracket them in. Again, there's a lot of scientific terminology here, so I just want to help you out a little bit in case you're lost. That specific statistic of driving decreasing by 37%, that's hinting what type of appeal to us? Pathos, logos, or ethos? A specific statistic, a stat, data. Yeah, next. Right, this is going to be our logos appeal. All right, and let's take a look at that last sentence. We found that listening comprehension tasks drew mental resources away from driving and produced a deterioration in driving performance, even though the drivers weren't holding or dialing a phone. All right, now that chunk we could say is logos. Okay, that's fact. But there's something else I want you to mark there. So that last sentence, I want you to bracket that in as well. What's nice about this sentence, not only is it hitting us with logos appeal, it's also addressing the counterclaim. Sure, you don't have to be holding on to a cell phone, but you're still getting distracted. Okay, now once you've got this information copied down, I'm going to have you read through the remaining piece of the article. It's not very long. I'm going to give you, let's say, about 4 minutes to complete reading the article and identify where you see factual pieces, where you might see some logos appear. If you want to do this with someone, I don't mind that at all. If you just want to read through it on your own, you can do that too. All right, folks, time is yours. Read through. Okay, I'm just going to do a really quick review of the remainder of the article. So if you didn't get through it, completely fine. If you want to copy the notes that you see on the screen, you can, but you don't necessarily need to, because I saw a lot of you just taking your own personal pieces as we went. So there's just 3 specific logos appeals that I'm going to share with you. First one occurs in that 3rd body paragraph. So we go ahead and mark this as a logos. They're talking about a brain activation finding. That's the actual chart that appeared on page 145. So the idea that they're using that chart to help prove their point 100%. Second logos appeal happens in the 5th paragraph. So we're going to go ahead and write down that as logos. Again, if you already have this, fantastic. You don't need to redo that. And the 3rd piece is going to happen in paragraph 6. That is another logos appeal. I wouldn't doubt that you folks were pulling up other ones, and that's completely fine if you did. These were just 3 specifics that I wanted to share with you. Okay, once you've got those notes down, go ahead, turn to page 148. So just one quick flip. So on page 148, or is it 47 for you guys? No, it is 48. We've got this huge white space area that we're going to be working with. First thing I'm going to have you do next to the check your understanding subheading, I want you to write this down, embedded quotes for EA argumentative essay. And after you've got that in the white space area below that writing prompt, you can just draw a line down the center. It's okay if you take it all the way through the remainder of the page. If you have larger handwriting, you'll definitely want to do that. And after the line, we're going to draw some subheadings that should look familiar to you. The idea of paraphrasing, quoting, and then citing. Now, we've developed embedded quotes for this topic of cell phone use while driving before. And you folks actually did that on page 140. The first 2 articles that we read, I provided an embedded quote for you on one of the articles, and then you had to complete one on your own. So you can either look back at page 140 yourself to see what you wrote there. I also have just a really tiny snapshot of what that looks like too, just kind of as a refresher if you need it. So what I'm going to ask you to do is I want you to develop 2 embedded quotes from this article that we just read today. You can work with someone if you want. You don't have to, but you can work with someone if you would like to get it done. I'm going to give you, let's say, 3.5 minutes to work on 2 solid embedded quotes. Let me know if you need any help.